Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome, as it's that time of the weekend. It's Super Sunday on Apex Racing TV, the Weekend Warriors double header, and it's round 5. This week, the tour rolls into Japan, Okayama International Circuit, for what is going to be pound for pound some of the best thrills, spills, excitement, drama, and action that you will see on the whole of the iRacing service. I'm Tim Cox. We've got Luce Around, the virtual production trailer. We're back again. Just can't keep him away, this guy. Charles Bashal joins me. Charles, welcome along. I mean, it's such a great circuit, this. Really underrated. F1 have visited here many, many moons ago. But it's one of those free tracks as we were talking about before the show, weren't we? Where, you know, you get it fairly early on. It gets ingrained into your skin. In the Mazdas, obviously, now you've got the Formula 4s and the Vs that have come along since us old school lots that just purely had the Mazdas. But I mean, yeah, it's always great action around this and plenty of overtaking spots.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me in again. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, it's like you said, it's one of the free tracks. So everybody gets a taste of it early and often in their iRacing career. You get in the mods, and it's a wide track. There's a couple tight corners that we're going to have to, keep an eye on. But for the most part, it should be some really good, fast racing. And I was just looking at the weather here, and it is HOT hot on that track. 134-degree track temp currently, and that's blistering.
Wow. Yeah, it's 57 degrees Celsius for those of us who don't use freedom units. It's that, yeah. Funnily enough, I think, was it last week? No, wasn't it? Because we were at Phillip Island last week. I'm trying to remember. I've experienced that again recently. It's only this season that I've seen temperatures so astronomically high. It's a
I
real,
think
real
it was
rarity.
Road Atlanta, if I remember correctly. I think Road Atlanta was very hot.
Yes, it was. It was exactly the same temperature there. So, yeah, again, another testing track for the drivers in terms of track temperature. But as we were saying, nearly halfway through the season, round 5 tonight, we've completed 4 out of the 12. Just have a little look across to the championship standings before we get carried away with qualifying that's just ongoing in the background right now. Megan Overstreet, she leads the way and starting to open up that advantage right now over Kane Lasky. 67 points at this early stage in the season. Jason Green, he's nippy at Lasky's heels there, only 9 points behind in third. Then Rodriguez, although it's Jesus A, obviously due to his long surname, cutting him off there. He lies in fourth. Jason Mayer, Schooler, Arabian, Degassis, Tullo round out your top 10 there. And tell you what, from 7th downwards, it's incredibly close. Into Spec 2, Tom Lorry has been really, really dominant so far this season. we see exactly the same again. Well, not too long from finding out whatsoever. Been astronomical in qualifying, and of course, it's taken part in all 4 rounds so far this season. That's what those numbers in the middle denote, and that's why he's got such a healthy lead over Philip Fernandez. Joshua Justice, he's third, and it's Joshua Flores in fourth. There's Coffee, Head, Perky, Perkins, Kramer, and Wallbank, and Latolo. And round out your 10 drivers in Spec 2 into Masters. The elder statesman of the league, and it's Jim Brewster, the heady heights, leading the championship. Now, as much as Jim is a lovely bloke, I'm sure he will admit himself, would not expect to be leading the championship coming into round 4. And by 12 points over Jorg Marni, Alan Degassis in third place, and those top 2 started to really, get cut adrift and really go for the gears. And now Stevie Ray fourth, then it's Walbolt, Rec Love, who obviously picked up a race win 2 rounds ago. And then we've got Antonio Race, Murakami, Toms, and Nelson ran out your 11 car field, because you can't lead an odd one out there in Masters. But across into qualifying now, and it's a Brazilian, Yatubino, leading the way. There he is. We've got 5 minutes left on the clock, and this is a cracker, isn't it? When you've got short track length, 1 minute 38 lap time, you've still got a chance to go 3, maybe 4 times again.
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of time to get a few more laps in, and yes, still tied at the top is what we normally expect. With Tabino just ahead of Monty by 0.08 of a second or so.
Yes, Spec 1 and Masters sharing the front row as things stand at the moment. Tom Laurie, your hot top driver. Telepathic moves there from our producer Lewis. Knew exactly what I was going to mention him. He's your top qualifier in Spec 1 right now. He's down in 11th. And so that's sort of grouped downwards. There's a bit of a gap emerging. McConnell ahead of him. Free Tempt in front. And in fact, Laurie only just in 11th place. Andrew Love is some 300ths of a second. Probably not even that, actually, if he wants to get down into the nitty-gritty of the thousands. Ahead of him, behind him, sorry, Love is over Laurie in 12th. Let's see, Gary Walbolt, another tight. Wow, I've just spotted, look at that, 400ths of a second separating 11th, 12th, and 13th. It's as tight as ever out there. I'm trying to find some. There we go, Lasky and Overstreet, 7,000ths of a second. That's a bit more like it. What we're used to.
Yeah, it's actually what we're used to. The competition here. Even though it's a little light for today, but the competition here is always just nip and tuck every week. They're separated by, as we're seeing, thousandths of a second sometimes. And it just makes for really great racing. You'll see big packs on the track taking these corners, and I love watching these races. It's so much fun to call.
And having a cracking qualifying right now is Stevie Ray. There he is, series organizer for Ray Esports. Obviously, the brain power behind Weekend Warriors. Currently up in 5th. That's a really strong qualifying for the Masters driver. Out qualifying, the likes of Antonio Rice is no slouch whatsoever. Andrew Love, who's, as mentioned when we go through the championship standings, has picked up a victory in class. That was back at Road Atlanta, wasn't it? I need to double check my notes just to fully confirm that. Yes, it was in round 3. So yeah. I mean, that's a really strong qualifying time. Only a half a second off pace.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Stevie's having a great run today. It's almost like he's been in the service for a long time and he's driven this track once or twice.
It is, yeah.
So, yeah,
based on that, Charles, I should be right up there, but knowing on my time, so I really wouldn't be. So I like your logic, but it doesn't always quite work.
That's true. I obviously would probably be myself down at the bottom of the field, anywhere in here. So these guys are just fantastic. And girl, we won't forget Megan, who's running P4, and it's. Like I said, it's just, this is one of those classic tracks, and everybody has logged laps here in some form or fashion over the course of their iRacing career. So it's usually pretty easy to pick up, but to get really good at it, you have to work at it.
You certainly do indeed. There's an improvement there from Jason Green, goes third. Let's lift elevators him up a few places. Antonio Rice has improved as well. That gap on the front starting to shrink and those times getting tighter and tighter to move on through qualifying. We've got about a minute and 10 left on the clock. The drivers finally cross the line before the checkered flag comes out. They do have time to complete their flying lap. Not always the case in the iRacing service. You can opt for that option, or you can go, right, okay, that's it. That's your 20 minutes done, dusted, and that's the end of qualifying. But we've got the more gentle approach to qualifying, shall we say. The harshness of the cold, hard, fast shuts. But we head across. We've got 40 minutes of racing coming up for you. There will be a pit stop involved. As always, of course, drivers, they've got one fast repair available to them as well. Hopefully they won't have to utilise that, but it is a little bit of a joker up your sleeve just in case it all does go horrifically wrong. As we've seen Franz wreck there, he's on a bit of an improvement. Let's see what happens when he comes across the line. Currently down in 17th in the penultimate place on the grid, but no improvement from him. In fact, well, I thought he was improving, but he sort of lost it towards the final part of the track, and he goes 1.1 seconds slower than his previous best. But a shame of Franz, but he got across the line just in time, so he can go again. But he can put this lap together, but the checker flag is out. A few of the drivers in the pit lane as Antenna Race climbs a place in a row on the grid. Knocks out Kane Lasky from the second row of the grid. He goes fourth. And well, who else is going to change in these closing stages? I'd say, yeah, those two have, yeah, they've got the line well after the checkered flag has come out. So Green and Rice are locked in with their times. I'll try to spot anyone else improving, Charles.
I'm not seeing anybody that looks like they're up on their times as checking timing and scoring here. I'm not sure if these drivers, this may be their final lap here as they're coming on to the back half of the circuit.
Yeah, and it's just talking about that back half of the circuit, it's really dominated by that long back straight, isn't it? And they're down into that deep braking area where you can really get some moves done. But in equal terms, that hairpin, you can also defend it because the next two corners, if you get stuck out on the outside line, are both left-handers, Revolver and Piper. And then even down to Redmond corner, which is, got a short straight in between it. You still got a chance to defend it. It's what makes it such like a complex 3D model, doesn't it? Trying to get overtakes done around Okayama.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, there are good places for passing in here. There are some places that are fairly easy to defend, and then there's some that you probably don't want to stick your nose in there. As we're looking at that back half of the circuit, so that as you said, that little kind of inner straight going into that very, very tight left-hander, you can make passes there, you can defend there, but a lot of times, at least if you're in a rookie, for sure, if you're in a rookie league, it's probably 50-50 chance of just coming out wrecked. So because it is, like I said, very tight, a very tight corner, and you don't have a lot of room on the exit to work around for that next right-hander.
Yeah, most certainly don't indeed. Just wait for the dying seconds of qualifying just to end, and then we'll head across and be able to bring you up your grid incredibly shortly. Oh, there we go. You can tell us it's just heading across. Bit of a blink. Oh, a bit of a change in darkness as well there. Seems to be a little bit more overcast. Is that going to make any difference? Temperatures, well, good news. They've dropped a bit down to 45 degrees Celsius, so a little bit cooler for our drivers. But here is your grid. In fact, to use proper English, Yao Pino, the Brazilian, on pole. Yogmani joining him on the front row. And then lining up, it's another Spec 1 and another Masters drivers directly behind one another. It's Jason Green and Antenna Race on row 2. Kay Lasky and Megan Overstreet make up an all Spec 1 row 3, with row 4 being Stevie Ray and Jesus Rodriguez. Aldegasius has got Michael McConnell for company. They're row 6. The top qualifier in Spec 2 is Tom Laurie, with Andrew Love joining him, the Masters driver. We've got Gary Walbolt and Philip Fernandez. They make up row 7. And row 8 being Jeff Jacobson and Alan Bradshaw. Row 9 and your last row of the grid is Franz Reck and Joshua Flores. One of 3 All-American rows by my calculations, roughly. And less of a bit of mention was the drivers just taking to the grid right now for the take their formation lap behind the push line safety car, and it's a short one, so let's rail through these quickly. First of all, we've got PDA, Precision Driving Analytics. Ray Phillips, their owner, has over 30 years of experience in motorsport, has raced open wheel cars for almost 20 years of that time. He's now found a new passion in helping others go faster and perfect their craft. He can fill the role of a data or race engineer and also as a driver coach while helping drivers get the most out of data and video systems. Ray was a data engineer and a driver coach for the 2019 championship-winning Ferrari Challenge team, assisting multiple drivers on that team, helping to achieve that victory. PDA also sells a wide range of data and video equipment that can help everyone from high-performance driver education drivers to professional drivers or even a race team with multiple cars and drivers. No matter what you choose, customers get the information they need to go faster and have a good time on track. Now, PDA can help both real-world drivers, sim racers, high-performance driver education instructors go faster while staying within their limits. Give them a shout and see what Precision Driving Analytics can do for you by heading to precisiondrivinganalytics.com. As well as just coming around the final corner, but the last corner is aptly named, and no hanging around whatsoever by our leaders, as we are green and we are racing for round 4 of the Fallen Forward Weekend Warriors from Okayama. And Sabino, well, despite being on pole, slots in behind Marnie in these opening stages. So we make our way through towards Williams for the first time this evening. I think, has everyone got away clean? I think they have.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's got away clean. And now we see Tabino now fighting back against Monty, trying to get the lead back as they're coming down into the hairpin, and Tabino on the outside. Interesting what you said is when we switched over to the race itself, the track temp dropped by 12 degrees Celsius. That's definitely enough of a temperature change that it's going to affect the handling of these cars. Where they were sliding around that hot track during qualifying, these cars are going to be a little bit tighter here at the opening parts of this race.
It's going to be interesting, as I say, to see how those drivers handle it. I mean, having said that, Sabino and Marnie, it's not stopping them whatsoever. I think nearly every set of corners, they have swapped places back and forth. Now, Marnie has fellow Masters driver race right behind him. The field's still in one long snake that covers all the way from Piper all the way down now as they head through this twisting, tricky set of switchback corners. Redman, then Hobbs, and then a short little straight into Mike Knight. Now, the interesting part here for the drivers and who's going to handle it well is that pit entry. It is, I always find it's lethal here, and if you just miss it, get it slightly wrong, it ends in disaster and normally a penalty as they head around the last corner. It's going to be an interesting one to see who comes out in terms of that and could lose them or even gain a loss of time during the pit stop phase. Ready to be, starting to open up a bit of an advantage here. Maybe a little bit surprising, seeing as though what it was like during the first lap.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back to what you're saying about pit entry. Yeah, it's a very, very difficult twisting because it's almost like it's got 2 or 3 corners of its own. And you have to be precise because obviously, once you're in the grass with these cars, you're a passenger at that point. And we've talked about that several times during this. And so you have to be very careful. You have to carry as much speed as you can because you don't want to lose time coming into pits. But you have to manage your aggression a little bit.
Interesting there. So we were looking back from Tabino, the differing lines being taken through the drivers through Atwood Curve, which is the long sweeping right-hander before you head onto the back straight here at Okayama. Now, Tabino went for a bit of a late apex there, whereas everyone else seemed to be hug the inside a lot more sooner and go for a sort of early to mid apex and then let the car sort of drift and run out wide and try and build the momentum that way. So definitely differing tactics being played out. And I mean, right now, based on that gap at the top Tabino holds, I would say probably Tabino's approach that seems to be working, certainly in this early...
Whoa.
Oh, no. I think someone's left their qualifying fuel on.
Oh, it kind of looks like that. As we see Monty coming into the pits. Yeah, when I've driven this track, I'm kind of the same way as Tabino is. I like the late apex. You just can get more drive into the corner, and you just carry more speed around in the apex late. And it seems like you carry your momentum better that way. And it seems like it's working for him.
Laurie's had a good start. He's made up 2 places. He's up into 9th. However, he does a slightly blinking Alan Degassis in front of him. What's the worrying part for Marnie as well is that he's not going to be able to make it to the end. Because, by the time say he was to come out now, 4.5 minutes on the clock. That's not going to be enough fuel to get him to the end. So he will need to stop again. So he's out of the equation as Laurie going for a move here. Not content with 2 places gained already. Goes for the 3rd. He's up into 8th, and it's not even for a battle in class, although the points crucially do count overall here. So it's why you fish overall, not necessarily in class, and that's why Laurie is not hanging around this early stage. But next driver up the road is Stevie Ray, and he's somewhat 1.6 seconds ahead. So a bit of work cut out to try and catch that gap up.
Oh, spin in the back. That was Love, I think. Oh, Bradshaw. Okay.
Well, I'm guessing he's showing
I would agree with that.
He's had a crash, so I've been wrong before, and I will definitely be wrong again.
Yep, I think you're right.
Let's find out. Did he cause an incident for someone else, or was it all by himself?
Well, yeah, inside curb, maybe carried a little too much speed, and everybody misses him, which is great driving by the rest of the field.
I'm not too sure how everyone managed to miss Bradshaw. It looked destined for him to be absolutely T-boned there, but no, he manages to avoid that one somehow, some way. Meanwhile, Degassis wanting that place back from Laurie, not helping these two try and catch the pack ahead of them, which is, well, other than Tabina, who sailed away since Yorgmani has dropped out of the equation. 2 seconds, the advantage the Brazilian has. We've only done 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's just checked out. He's looking at the field here. He's like half second faster than pretty much everybody else on track. So yeah, he's obviously got a handle on this track, and he's doing a really good job of stretching that gap. And once he gets out there to where he feels comfortable, he can start kind of managing his pace. His race drops down to 5th. I don't know if that was maybe just a draft. They got a couple cars by.
It could have been, because I saw Jason Green just pulling out, coming down the back straight, and I was keeping half an eye while you were talking in the background there and looking at our timing sheet. I saw he got the move done, but yeah, I didn't spot he dropped all those extra places as well. So quite easily though through that part of the circuit, if you get bullied and shoved off onto the wrong line, it can be so hard to get back across it. So let's take a look at the replay. So race at the front of this pack. Green moves out. Well, I think everyone's just going to follow the way through and just bully poor Antonio Rice on the outside there. So Green's on the brakes. He's on the inside. Lasky following. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he just got pinned to the outside. Yep, absolutely. Just got pinned to the outside and just had to wait for the pack to get an opening there to get back in line.
Still leads in Masters, though. That's the crucial part. Despite dropping to 5th overall. Well, in doing so, look, it's now nearly 3 seconds to Bino, 2.7 in fact, the advantage he's got up front. Ray 2nd in Masters, and then 3rd is Love. Those two 7th and 12th, apologies, in class. So overall, respectively, so we ride on board with Alan Degassis, who's... Oh, no, apologies. I always forget he's... Of course, moved up into the Masters, so he is 3rd in class. There's Lasky's now ahead of Green, much ahead of them, but is Laurie going to hold on to this place? Since getting the move done, Degassis has threatened, but not being able to force it. Well, any action, but then forces a mistake, squeezes his car just on the inside. There is Laurie, but it's easy to defend through here if he can do it and just position his car right, which he does. Laurie, but he's going to look a bit slow off the corner here on the run up the hill towards Redmond Corner.
Yeah, Laurie just kind of missed the apex on that right-hander, left the door open on the inside for Degassis, but smart move by Laurie, just hanging on, keeping his momentum up, and was able to retain that spot for the time being.
Good news for Yorgmani fans. He did get going again, despite having to take a full tank of fuel. He'll be kicking himself over that one, that's for sure. But just seeing this following group, and again, so they come across the line to be another new fastest lap of the race down to 1:38.10. following group behind, well, Lasky had the fastest lot of the lot of them. A 38.4 though, so 3/10 faster is Tabino. Wow, he seems to be a little bit like what we've seen from the SRF races, which you'll see coming up in probably about an hour and a half's time. Marco Pinero has just been so dominant this last season and a half, and I mean the way Tabino's going, it's a similar display from what we've seen from Pinero in the SRFs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, from doing the racing last season. I'm sorry. Pinero at midpoint of the season just kind of figured everything out and checked out, and this is looking very similar to that with Tabino here. It just seems like he's the class of the field today.
Laurie, I've just spotted he's dropped a couple of places as DeGassis and McConnell have got past. And in fact, McConnell and DeGassis just on the inside there, McConnell on the outside, swapping back around. But what's worrying for Laurie, no, it's not, because Warbot, of course, into Masters now. So actually, guaranteed looking at that. Guaranteed a top three if you inspect two, only because there's 3 drivers here with us today. But meanwhile, up to that sort of best of the rest fight. Lasky, Green, Rice, Overstreet, Rodriguez, Ray just about staying in touch with them right now. All pretty much lying astern. All have sort of swapped around, other than our rear 2 of that group being Rodriguez and Ray. Bit of fuel saving strats, do you reckon? Either way to go.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Tabino's out there, and I think we've talked with Overstreet where she doesn't really push the first half unless she really needs to. So it wouldn't surprise me she's just kind of riding in line and just waiting for the second half of the race before she starts trying to work her way forward.
Yes, an early stop from Jeff Jacobson there. That is very early.
10 minutes in, 10 and a half minutes in. I think that's even borderline for this group as far as the undercut strategy.
Yeah, it'll get him home, won't it? Because it's, they ran about 7 minutes-ish is the cutoff point. As there comes Marnie. Now, this could be a bit of an interesting strat because obviously we know the pedigree of Marnie. I mean, it shows how much time Marnie has made up because... So he's come out, about 7 or 8 tenths behind Jacobson, but yet was stationary for a whopping 18 seconds longer.
Yeah, he's obviously having nobody around him. He could just run his line, his race, and make up as much ground as he's able to do.
I think Ray may have out a self-induced spin here. Let's take a little look. Our producer Lewis just said earlier he thinks exactly the same. Oh,
yeah, just a little too hot. Yeah, what can you say? I think he just kind of maybe misjudged the speed of the cars in front of him. Because they're all basically in a pack, and then had to correct and kind of lost the car. So. Happens to the best of us.
It does indeed, and even the worst of us as well. I can vouch for
what happens to the worst of us more.
Well, that's definitely for certain. Well, it's shuffled things around. So Ray's come into the pits. That's elevated everyone up in this mid-pack upper position. Laurie right round the outside there, hanging on for dear life as it's on the inside of him. That's Andrew Love. So they're all pretty much nip and tuck now, but McConnell and DeGassis is just starting to pull away from this little gaggle right now. It's there side by side. McConnell just on the inside there. Very similar liveries, does not help us commentators when they got 2 cars battling away. To glance across at, but while things are semi-quiet, and I use that very strongly, let's have a quick message to one of our other sponsors for the series, Arrive Drive Motorsport. Now, welcome to your ultimate race experience. Arrive Drive Motorsport is a full service for road racing prep shop, specializing in Formula and sports races. They're now offering full Arrive and Drive services in F1600, F2000, F1000, S5000, or even your own car. Are you ready to take your driver development to the next level? with everything from F1600 to V8 open wheel monsters. Arrive Drive will maximize your potential and accelerate your development with up to 100 races per year in up to 6 different race cars. Are you ready? Well, contact ArriveDriveMotorsports.com to find out more. Back to the action. And well, these lot not leaving each other alone. And it's been odd. We don't. I say they normally tend to have this sort of battle down the midfield. We do, but not normally quite this intense. They all tend to play a little bit more safer. However, McConnell, maybe one of the newer drivers, just putting the cat amongst the pigeons and disrupting the status quo. Whereas the top group, they all seem to be a bit more line astern.
Yeah, I think that, you know, like you said, we'll see these packs like this, and sometimes they're a little feisty, and sometimes, but a lot of times they will just kind of ride in line. I think that the sense here is that McConnell may be holding these guys up a little bit, and so they're just trying to find a way around and maybe shuffle him further back in this little group.
Meanwhile, that best of the rest group still being led by Lasky. Tavino not pulling away as much, and the last time around he was the first driver to dip into the 137s when 137.96. However, the lap prior to that, Overstreet was the first driver to set a new fastest lap that wasn't Tavino, interestingly. So clearly feeling a little bit more comfortable. She's still locked down in fifth in the middle of that best of the rest gaggle right now. Rodriguez is starting to fall away from it, so it's looking more and more like a four-way battle between all of those guys. And also, the fascinating one for me is Jorg Marni. Just how high up can he get? I believe he will have to stop again, but I tell you what, it's just a voyage into the unknown and a bit of a discovery, and fascinating to see just what he can achieve all the way down there. Although he has come out 10 seconds behind Stevie Ray, who has pitted and come out in 16th place. I think he's equally about 10 seconds behind Adam Bradshaw, who did have that spin earlier on in the race.
Yeah, we're just, as I'm just kind of monitoring Jorg's lap times, he's not really laying back and maybe thinking I can conserve enough fuel to make it to the end without pitting again. He's putting in the laps. He's running mid 138 lap times. So he's not leaving anything out to chance. So it will be interesting to watch to see how much time he can make up on the back part of this field. And, I think that the guy that's probably not cheering, because I think all these drivers are really friendly with each other. I don't think there's a lot of, animosity amongst these. They all seem to be, if I'm in here in practice, they all seem to be, laughing and cutting up as they're doing their laps. But Jim Brewster leading the Masters class, not here today. So it helps him out because it just keeps Monty without not making up as many points while Jim's not here.
That is a really, really good point, isn't it? It's really, really benefiting him right now. Something probably he wasn't expecting coming into this round. So looking really, really strong for him. And it's just still keeping an eye on this best of the rest group, who settling down as we're starting to approach half race distance. So Tabino leads from Lasky and Green being the top three. But Tabino fully checked out with 4.5 seconds the advantage. Race your leader in Masters, there's DeGassis Love for your top three, although Love has only just claimed that as he's got past Gary Walbolt just off camera, with Laurie Fernandez and Flores being your only three, so therefore your top three. 11, 12, 14th in Spec 2.
Yeah, and having good runs, keeping the car clean. I was listening to the in-car for Overstreet, and she was definitely lifting. She was not trying to press the issue coming down that long back straight. So she's content to stay where she is for now, and probably doing some nice fuel conservation while she's there.
It's definitely interesting, isn't it, when you start seeing those strats? And I do have to wonder how many of even these guys are trying to conserve fuel. Tabino, I would say, well, if he's saving fuel, then I think nobody stands a chance against him.
Right, yeah, another 138 flat for the last lap. So yeah, even he's conserving fuel and he's still running, 3/10 faster than the rest of the field. Then yeah, this is truly a battle for second place. The Overstreet kind of fell off there a little bit. Maybe she made a mistake in one of the corners. Should be able to pick that time back up, still within a second.
Yeah, should still be okay, shouldn't she? With that one. I mean, still, as we know, it's still, it's so easy to make up the draft, especially where these guys are all, checking up and remaining in line into the braking zone. I imagine should make up quite a hefty chunk of that time as everyone checks up early and just following in. And there you go, already back into the fight very nearly. As something's happened to Franz Rek, I do believe, as seeing this to Gaseous, Love, McConnell battle still looming on. Yeah, looks like he's going a little bit slow off that one. In fact, yeah, he's dropped all the way down to Bradshaw, who was 10 seconds behind earlier on. Let's see what's that. I bet this is just losing the rear through Atwood curve.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He came in there pretty hot, so yeah, definitely carried too much speed, especially for the angle he was running. I think if he would have maybe opened it up a little bit more and tried to stay on the outside, he might could have caught that, but. Yeah, diving down to that hair, that corner deep with that much speed in the inside with that early apex just didn't work out for him.
It most certainly didn't indeed. And it gives at least Adam Bradshaw something to look at and a bit of company. He's been without any for quite a while now.
See Andrew Love in the pits. About the halfway point of the race.
Still maybe a bit early, but I don't know whether it's because he's been locked in that battle for so long where it's like, right, let's drop out of it, check out, get some fuel on board, and then just go again. I think that's the only reason I can foresee him, do it. Just get himself into some fresh air and try and lay down some quality lap times.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely a good strategy call. If you get, kind of bound up with some other cars that you feel like maybe holding you up, then yeah, drop out. Get the fuel reset and go back out, run some clean laps and see if you can make up that time and jump them, the whole undercut theory.
Be interesting to see when we can make it all work. Whether it all just end in tears for him. Hopefully it won't. Just seeing them wind their way out, making their way through the aptly named last corner. Of course, a lot of effort went into name that, and also turn one as well. That's called the first corner.
I mean, it's sometimes it's just the easy things that make the most sense, right?
Yeah, just no messing.
Yeah, kind of like the turn one at Watkins Glen. It's 90 right. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. We can debate the corner names for hours. I'm sure. If somebody can explain to me 130R at Suzuka, I'd appreciate it.
No problem. I'll save that one for afterwards.
There we go.
However, it still remains though that Knickerbrook at Alton Park does have the best corner name in the world. Well, the best story behind it anyway. I'll leave you to Google that one. Those that have heard it before, well, certainly heard it a million times from me, that explanation. But yeah, it's a brilliant, brilliant story. And that's why we come to love motorsport, really, isn't it? For those really great stories behind. Also, I found out my brand new favourite. Well, we're before the Formula 1 era, but would technically be classed as Formula 1 driver. Earlier. Started out I think he sadly passed away in 1923 at Spa in his 7th Grand Prix. Yeah, maybe not the most broadcastable name, that one. Anyway, your Marnie, more pressing matters, is nearly onto the back of Andrew Love, 9/10 of a second. And all Jason Green. Oh, he's got to have made a mistake.
Definitely looks that way. He's dropped down to P6. He's behind Rodriguez now.
Did he check up? He's losing. Well, this is an odd place, not the place where you tend to see people make mistakes.
Oh,
Oh,
too wide. I think he just got into the dirt out on the outside of that. I mean, yeah, because I think most people are running those curves with no problem. So I'm going to just say he just got a little too deep in there. I've done it. Well, obviously not in these cars. I don't, I haven't driven this car yet, very much. But yeah, it's that's a easy one to make. You can carry too much speed through there. It's almost like that double apex right-hander coming back on to the front straight, and it's very easy to get that one crossed up.
It's indeed such a shame for him. So he's looking like he's on for a really strong finish here. I'd say even within that top three, but well, doesn't look like it's going to be for him whatsoever today. Such a shame. There's still a chance. We've still got 16 minutes left of racing to do. And never say never in the Weekend Warriors. That's one thing you can definitely bank on within this series.
Well, yeah, we just, whenever you think that something's not going to happen, we just go back to Road Atlanta and everything that occurred during that race. And then it's like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, there's always a possibility that Green could be back up on the podium by the end of this thing.
Well, I mean, that was a race where it was like nobody wanted to lead that, wasn't it?
It was indeed. Yeah, for sure.
So talking of leading, I guess this second in Masters right now, and it's been, I say, held up. I mean, it's been a lot. These two have been going at it since lap one. Realistically, they've been inseparable. They did have Tom Lorien amongst them for a while, and they sort of came and went Andrew Love as well. But they've pretty much remained the constant throughout this race. I certainly like Tabino, who's now, 6.6 seconds. Every time you just glance across to it, it grows that gap that he has over Lasky and co. You just really do not seem to have an answer. But interestingly, I mean, this is a three-way battle over 2 podium spots overall. Everything up for grabs between the 3 of them. And one driver is going to be left a little bit disappointed walking away from Watkins. Well, no, not Watkins. Okayama. Yeah, it'd be. Lasky is the one I worry about the most, because I feel that Race and Overstreet have both been sat there fuel saving this one, and Lasky
coming in. We're going to find out. I mean, this will be the first of the front runners coming in. We'll see what his pit stoppage time is for comparison with the rest as they come in and make their stops. Probably within the next 5 minutes or so, within the next couple of laps, I think we'll see everybody else come in.
I think we will, won't we? Or maybe, yeah. Maybe even a few more minutes. I'm not too sure, but might have a little bit more. So where will Lasky come out? Well, he's still heading down pit road. Another new fastest lap of the race. I don't even need answers on the postcard to work out who that was as Lasky gets going again. That needs to say it was Yatabino. Probably ripping up some trees here today in Japan. So definitely in a week's time, the Weekend Warriors, the Formula 4 Weekend Warriors Tour, we head to, I was mentioning about it earlier, Alton Park. We'll be on the island circuit.
Oh, that's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun race. I do really enjoy Alton Park. Watching races there as well as driving it. I really enjoy driving the track as well.
I tell you what, just go for hot laps and just to net hammer it.
Ooh,
car around. That's Franz Reck.
Yep, I think that was Reck. I think I noticed the elf livery.
Here we go. We get to find out exactly how he's managed it. And I think maybe a bit too much speed and not enough adhesion.
Yep. That's not. Oh. Yeah, that's a very difficult corner. At least for me, it's a very difficult corner to get timed right, to get your braking to the right level, and then still managing to carry enough speed, and then hanging it out all the way out to the outside, as we see a race coming into the pits. So it takes a lot of practice to get that one right. It's one of the corners I kind of highlighted at the beginning of the race.
Well, talking of race, where will he come out? See what I did there? Against Lasky.
Got it.
They're going to be very close to one another. There is Lasky, there is Rice, and he's got the jump on him. So there's your answer. How much has Overstreet managed to do? Ooh, was Lasky just, remains behind 0.4 of a second. And, well, Lasky's had a great outlap, though, Charles, because pit stop wise, there was 1.5 seconds difference between the pair of them. However, there's only, now down to 1/4 of a second. So that's what sort of outlap Lasky has had in comparison.
Absolutely had a great outlap, and he's managed to just, he's back in the pack where he was when he came in. So if nothing else, it's a kind of a wash because now he can at least still battle for that P2 again. But it will be interesting to see how much fuel Overstreet may have saved being behind this group as she's coming around for another lap. I mean, surely, I think with this is probably going to be the last one because she's going to be over the 31-minute mark at the end of the lap. So, which is normally about the time we say that they're just, basically dry. So, at least as far as what I remember from these races.
Yeah, I was trying to do a bit of maths there, and if you then add on another lap, it was going to put it more towards the 43 mark. And plus a bit of change as well, I'd imagine there's Philip Fernandez heading down pit road. Just might have caught him in the corner of the eye on the camera shot there. But yeah, that's going to push it too far. I mean, even fuel saving to the absolute max. I don't think there was enough of the pack of them there to fully achieve that one. However, we've still got quite a few drivers running into. The one that amazes me is Yazbino, because we said about him not fuel saving, yet he has not been hanging around all race long. 8 seconds now, that gap that he has up front. I don't know where's he finding this from.
I'm not sure, but he hasn't been, as far as I can see, his lap times aren't saying he's fuel saving. So it's going to be interesting to see how much fuel he's burnt being out in the lead by himself with no drafting help. So we're going to see if anybody makes up ground just from pit stoppage.
We're about to find out, aren't we? As our leader is in. Overstreet's in.
Yep.
Green goes again.
Interesting.
Wow, that's going to be sailing it close to the wind, Jason Green. And he was out by himself for a while as well. McConnell's in, DeGas is in. Before Javapino might have a bottomless fuel tank. Jason Green says, "Hold my beer, watch this," and goes again.
Yeah, it's going to be right at the 30. It's going to be right at the 33-minute mark when he comes around for the pit next time. So that's really close.
I think Overstreet's got the job done though here, Charles, because she's on pit exit. There's Rice and Lasky. So Overstreet's got the jump on all of them. Brilliant little move there from the American. And in terms of stationary time, in fact, Tabino's put extra fuel in compared to everyone else. So 12.3 seconds stationary for Overstreet, 14.6. So that's 2.3 seconds longer for Tabino. So that gap has closed up a little bit. 4 seconds is the advantage that the Brazilian has just now. Just 4 seconds. I say 4 seconds, like it's incredibly close. It's not.
It's not, but it's half of what it was before he came into the pits.
Yes, and that's a really crucial point, isn't it? But I mean, I guess, especially if you're looking close on time in terms of laps, then why risk it? You've got such an advantage. You hold all of the aces. You've got blackjack, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You got 8 seconds in hand. You don't really have to. You can you can afford to be patient, and you can afford to take a little extra fuel to make sure that, as we get around to the end of this, it doesn't go an extra lap and you're caught short, which is always a concern. And we've seen it time and again in these Weekend Warrior series where we've had cars run off fuel on the last lap.
Well, Green is in, so where will he come out amongst everyone else? He's only going to really need a bit of a splash and dash to get himself home. I mean, look at that. By the time he's come in and reached his pit box, pit exit, 6.5 minutes left on the clock. That is running in really, really deep for the American. He's going to come out behind Overstreet, Lasky, and Rice. Well, that's to be expected, but he has closed the gap up, and that's crucial. And Jesus Rodriguez is hot on his heels, so this could end up bringing the band back together again for these closing stages.
Yeah,
certainly if they start battling up in front of them, which I think they're about to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if they start fighting side by side, it's just going to bring Green and Rodriguez right up to the back of them, and then that becomes a four-way battle. And then all bets are off at that point. And then Overstreet basically checks out, leaves them all behind as we see them side by side coming down the backstretch. And then Overstreet's going to make nice easy pass there by Reyes over Lasky. So no time cost very much anyway. Very little time costs involved in that. But it's when they start doing the battles side by side in sections like this is where they are going to end up hurting themselves. So they're going to have to be very smart about the moves they make.
You say about Overstreet checking out, but I think that's already happened, hasn't it, realistically? 2 seconds the advantage over Rice and Lasky. Well, Lasky did set the fastest lap last time around of the race. So far, 1:37.8.
Yeah, we've got Jorg Monty on the screen up to P9. We still think he's got to stop again and get a splash of fuel at the end of this race. But so it's been a good recovery so far. And, just watching his lap times, he was actually making up time as he's coming in now for that little splash at the end of this thing.
Well, I was going to be optimistic, Charles, and say, well, I don't know, based on how far Jason Green went, maybe a stretch, maybe he could, but, well, that's just answered that one, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has. But, it seems like he's going to, I don't think he's going to be here very long, so we'll see what we've got as he gets stopped here. We'll just keep an eye on it. But he won't be down 17th, 18th. He'll be maybe 14th. So if he comes out behind Jacobson, we see him sitting here.
I don't think he is. I think he'll come out. Well, no, I'm wrong again. There goes. Jeff Jacobson is ahead of him.
So he's got a rabbit to chase. So he's got a chance to make up at least another spot. I don't think there's enough time for much more than that. But he's within 3 seconds behind Jacobson. So, and we know Jorg is always fast. He's always up at the sharp end. Except when mistakes happen like this. And so, he's got the pace that he can make up that time, I believe.
So, if Jacobson equals his best lap for the next 2 laps, and Jorg does his, then Jorg will catch him. However, I don't think he'll have enough time to pass him. But that's if they're both matching their fastest laps so far. And talking to which, Tabino sets another new fastest lap of the race. Again. So, yeah, it could be tough for Jorg, but never say never. And it's what pressure you can try and apply onto the back of Jacobson at those closing stages. Meanwhile, we've got 3 minutes left on the clock now.
The gap to Lasky to Green is like a second and a half. He's closing that gap down.
He is, isn't it? It is coming down. Last time around, 2 temps they took out of him.
Yeah, we might be on for a little battle at the end of this thing before it's all said and done.
You can't, and this is the thing. If you're Lasky, you can't push Rice. This is, just the nature of these cars, you can't push them along. If this was the SRS, which we'll see in about an hour's time here on Apex Racing TV, this is part of this. It's about the second part of the Weekend Warriors doubleheader. You get away with it, those.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those cars would be chained together for as much of the lap as you can make it work.
Yeah. And even then, when you can't, they'll still try and give it a go.
They'll still try, of course. Yeah.
Hey, oh, wow. Look at that. Yukamani, 4 temps behind already to Jeff Jacobson. This just smells of when, not if.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, and like I said, Jacobson, is always, he seems like he's always done a really good job in these races, but he's Spec 2. Monty is a master, in the Masters class, but he's a fairly high-rated driver. And so, like I said, he's always got pace in the car. He's not just battling for Masters class. Most races, he's usually battling for the overall race lead. So it doesn't surprise me that he's made that stagger up pretty quickly.
It's just biding his time right now as Lasky, you can see. Now, when they've got this lap, and then I believe, yes, they'll be taking the white flag next time around. Well, when they come around to the start-finish straight, in fact. And what does Lasky do here?
He's just
go early?
Yeah, no, he's just laying back here. I think he's waiting for the last lap.
Last lap flurry. The guys behind are catching as well. Well, just as I looked across, they took another additional 2 attempts. That gap is down to 1.1 second. And maybe this is what's influencing part of Lasky's decision-making process here, I do wonder, Charles. So if I start attacking Antonio and get it slightly wrong or hold the pair of us up, then they're going to be hot on our tails. But that gap's already down to just under 1.1 seconds. So there's another 10th, and there's a back marker. I think Offal going very slow in front of them. That's Franz Reck. Right. Just trying to get out of the way of everyone. Much respect there to Franz for getting that done. But here we go.
Reyes got really wide coming out of the last corner.
And also, look how close those two are behind. And Lasky doesn't get the move done. Wow, I thought that was going to be a dead certainty.
Yep. So now we've got a 4-car battle, and it's probably going to be settled on this back stretch as we get down into this corner here. We're going to see who gets to run out and can take advantage.
Reminiscent to a finish I had in Formula Renault 3.5 that I commentated on, where the second half of the circuit, they were side by side for the entire last lap. It was absolutely fascinating, but here we go. Out of that work here, down the back straight away for the final time this evening in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, and Race knows he's in trouble. Defends that inside line. Green darts down to try and get the undercut under Lasky. Comes alongside. Don't discredit Jesus Rodriguez sweeping in the background there. He's not out of this fight despite being in the back of this 4-car movement here. They head out of Revolver down this short straightaway towards Redman. Race defensive once again. Lasky trying to cover it off. Wants to make a move, but needs to be cautious. They have Green behind him. But now he's only got 2 more corners left to defend this one, Antonio Rice, as they come out of Mike Knight down towards the last corner. And Jesus Rodriguez making a move, bounces across the curves once more. They almost touch, and Green hung out to dry on the outside. He's going to go on the gravel. Tabino, your victor. Overstreet second, and it's a run to the line, but Race is going to get it just about.
Half a car length?
If that.
700ths of a second?
Not quite the finish we saw at the end of last season at Road America between Green and Overstreet.
5,000. Those are really, really good battles there at the end of the race, though.
But in doing so as well,
Rodriguez managed to get Green. I'm sorry.
He did.
By 2/10.
It was a bit unorthodox. He was bouncing across the curbs, wasn't he? Coming out through Mike Knight and last corner. But hey, it worked, didn't it? And Green was just then stuck on the outside, nowhere to go, and had to yield it realistically as they all sort of slid out wide, as you naturally do when you head through the corner. Marnie, in the end, he finishes in 13th place. That's not a bad recovery drive for a driver that was down at the back of the pack and well off and had to make a second pit stop.
No, absolutely not. No, P13 for Monty. I think he'll take that and be happy with it. Considering they had to make a second pit stop.
I think Franz Reck might have run out of fuel.
It feels like he's just kind of coasting into the pits there.
That is one way to get some screen time. Just, just roll in.
That's right.
Here's some classified results from round 4 of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. Gaspino taking the victory, a clinical performance from him. Megan Overstreet in the end up 4 places into second. Antonio Rice claiming that last position on the podium overall and also the win in Masters. Lasky 4th, Rodriguez pipping green at the line there. Finished 5th. Ray, 2nd in class, 7th overall. Then McDonald. Laurie, your winner in Spec 2 with Philip Fernandez 2nd and rounding out your top 10 in class. Then we've got Warbolt, the last of the podium finishers in Masters. 11th overall for him. Then it's Love, Marnie, Jacobson, DeGassis, Bradshaw, Flores, obviously, of course, that podium in Spec 2 with only 3 drivers taking part. And Franz Reck, 1 lap down and running out of fuel there at the end to round out your 18 car field. And a bit of a chat to some of our drivers. I can see Megan Overstreet has popped in. Let's have a bit of a word with her. Well, playing the fuel strat game there today, Megan. That's how it came across anyway.
I finished the race with 0.1 gallons. I timed that to absolute perfection.
That was 0.1 gallons more than what you needed to get over the line, wasn't it? Look at it that way. I mean, equally, because we worked out, you were sitting back, must have been fuel saving throughout the race. When you saw Jason Green go another lap on top of everyone else, were you a little bit surprised by that one?
No, not really, because he usually is able to save a lot more fuel than I can, so that didn't surprise me at all.
That's completely fair enough. I mean, having said that, qualifying, just sitting in this group was always just the intent, just to play it safe. I mean, they were chopping and changing at the front of this group around, towards the start of the race. So were you just happy to sit there, or did you think about joining in the fun?
Oh, I was going flat out the entire time. Yeah, it was the draft on these cars isn't as powerful as like the Formula V or the SRF, so you really have to work to stay in the draft.
Well, it worked out an absolute treat for you in the end, coming home second. Congratulations, Megan. I'm sure we'll see you very shortly in the SRFs.
Oh yeah.
There we go. It's Megan Overstreet finished second here today. Charles, I understand you've got fellow Masters man, Antonio Rice, with you.
Antonio Rice, Masters class winner today. Antonio, a great race. Was a nice battle with you and Overstreet, Lasky, and Green there. Obviously, Monty, I think we surmised he would maybe didn't put the race fuel in, so had to come in early. But you were able to stay up front and battle for most of the race.
Hello guys, hello everyone. Manny got a black flag on the beginning. I think that Turbino slowed a little down on the straight, and then he got the black flag. So was out of content for that. But anyway, I think he would win if not for that. The Manny is faster than me. But it sounds all good when we win, whatever.
Hey, sometimes a little racing luck doesn't hurt, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, congratulations on your class win, and obviously we'll look to see you for the next event.
Yeah, I will be there. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Yeah, see you.
Santo Rice there. Winning Masters. And I've just spotted from my stats as well, Charles. That's now 2 wins on the bounce in class for him, with the first last time out of Phillip Island. So definitely a man in form right now. But
absolutely,
that's all we've got time for here for the first part of the doubleheader of Weekend Warriors on Super Sunday on Apex Racing TV. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you in about 40 minutes time for the 4 SRFs from myself, Tim Cox, Luceret, and Charles Bushell. We'll see you soon, and we'll see you in fact a week's time when the tour rolls to England and Alton Park. See you then.